Welcome back, everybody. This is Cover 1. I'm your host, James Bouligny. I have my co-hosts, Ryan Chadwick and Paul Harris. How's it going, guys?
Oh, glad to be here. More football.
Paul?
How you doing, James?
Doing good. And Nick Thompson.
Go on, guys.
What's going on, Nick? All right, so it's the regional semis for 6-man. It's the regional semis for 11-man. State semis for 6-man, right?
State quarterfinals for
State quarterfinals.
James.
Third round either way. Third round.
Third round either way.
Yeah.
We're going to get into it. We're getting some games from last week, but before we do, here's a quick word from Whataburger.
Whataburger's Buffalo Ranch Chicken Strip Sandwich is back.
Chicken strips. Chicken strips. Chicken strips.
Ranch.
Ranch. Buffalo. Ranch. Monterey Jack cheese.
The Whataburger Buffalo Ranch Chicken Strip Sandwich. A beautiful masterpiece.
All right, we're going to go to Nick real fast. Nick, you were at the Friendship South Lake Carroll game last week. How was the environment there?
It was great. I'll tell you what. So Friendship went down to Abilene to play South Lake Carroll. Parking was an interesting story to get there. That's just the first off there. I happened to miss a touchdown off the rip, but South Lake Carroll, I mean, that is a household name in the state of Texas. So when Friendship plays them, it's kind of one of those. I hate to say that's a loss, but we'll see how it goes, and that's exactly how it went. Well, not exactly how it went, but it was more of a. I'm surprised how it went. Friendship's 10-2, and they lost to South Lake Carroll by 7. It was 49-42. Leighton Stone had 4 touchdowns. Chase Campbell, I believe, had 2. And then Holden Phillips had 4 total touchdowns for 164 yards, and he completed 90% of his passes. So he looked amazing on the field, especially competing against the South Lake Carroll team. Even an honorable mention, Damian Lozano had a punt return touchdown as well, too. That game was awesome. I think halftime it was 28-28. I was going to hop over to Shotwell to watch the Cooper game, but that game was just so intriguing. I had to stay. So, unfortunately, they took that loss, 49-42. And the emotion on that field was, being my first year reporting on football, that was a different environment. That just the depression, kind of the depressed feeling and how sad everyone was. It's that true passion, true emotion in high school football that kind of just makes me love the game as well. So tough loss for them, but they look strong this year. Leighton Stone's going to be awesome at Texas Tech. Can't wait to see him. And they'll had a great year this year.
Hey, they got Chase Campbell coming back, though. So they got Chase Campbell coming back.
Yeah.
They're losing Holden Phillips, so Friendship might look a little different next year, but guarantee you that Campbell's going to end up getting some D1 offers as well.
Absolutely.
Well, and also, South Lake Carroll is one of the premier programs in the state of Texas, and Friendship went up 14-0 on them.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's right.
Yeah, you let them back in, and they ended up winning, but you still stayed up with one of these programs that historically have a great program.
Hey, say what you want about the Bobcats this year, but they lost to Friendship by 7, so that's got to feel good for the future, right, Paul?
That's awesome. It shows just you look back on now, what an impressive performance by the Bobcats to hang with that Carroll team. That's crazy. And then Carroll represents all of West Texas well. Friendship represents all of West Texas well by playing the way they did with Carroll. I mean, they were driving to tie the game or put it in overtime there at the very end. So that Friendship offense was incredible.
Yeah, it's one of those, maybe the Bobcats aren't as far away as we thought they were, But, despite that, it's still a loss to another DFW school, so that West Texas curse persists. But it was a great showing.
And we have 6-man, right?
Yeah, we got 6-man.
All right, let's talk about Midland High and Crowley. Midland 22, Crowley 26. Kind of surprising there?
Yeah, well, me and Paul said this before the game last week. We thought that Midland High had the best shot to advance out of all the teams in District 2-6A. It was impressive that they all made it to the second round anyway. That doesn't usually happen. But Midland High's run game just suit themselves so well against any opponent that they face. They ended up falling in this one, but 3 years ago, Midland High was where Central is right now, and it's like they've rebuilt their program, and it's like they're starting to see the results. But other than that, Euless Trinity avenged the loss last year to Midland Legacy. Just beat the tar out of them. But the worst news was how Permian played against North Crowley. They got beat 72-14. So looks like Permian's got a little bit ways to go. But yeah, that was District 2-6A last week.
Chadwick, you want to put your pride away a little bit, man. It's showing. Moving on, let's talk about some 5A matchups in the playoffs, though. Monterey and Denton Ryan. Denton Ryan 29, Monterey 16. What do you think of that one?
So that was another one that completely surprised me. Of course, Denton Ryan is number 3 in the state, just like Southlake Carroll is number 4 in the state. Came in, everyone thought that they were just going to shell Lubbock Monterey. But Coach Thrash said before the season ended that he's building a championship caliber team, and they went out and proved that against Denton Ryan. Like, yes, they lost, but it was within 2 scores, you know. And it was a low-scoring affair, so it's not like the defense needs a lot of work or something like that. But, you know, Judd Thrash is really building something at Lubbock Monterey. Now, this is a team that 2 years ago went 0-10. So just look forward to the Plainsmen and what they can do in the future.
All right, Chadwick, keep it for Lubbock Cooper and Walnut Grove.
Man, you want to talk about a game that I thought that Lubbock Cooper should have won. First off, they shouldn't have been matched up with Walnut Grove. They dropped their last 2 district games of the season. Kind of a letdown season overall. They were in the top 10 all year. Couldn't get it done at the end of district. So it goes into what we always say, James. Seeding is so important, you know. They come in as a 3 seed against Walnut Grove, and they play them tough. Like, this is a good game. They lost 34-28 in a game that they easily could have won. You know, to if they win this game, then all of a sudden now you're looking at a matchup in the regional final against Lovejoy, you know. And that's a game that they had won earlier this year. So, like, I think it's a disappointing season for Lubbock Cooper to them, but still a successful season overall. But yeah, man, like, I really thought that the Pirates were going to pull through and be playing this week as well.
Yeah, speaking of seeding, Lakeview, Stephenville and Canyon Randall. Stephenville just handled it. I mean, I don't think anybody's surprised. Stephenville handled it with the number 4, right? Number 4.
That's right.
State.
Yeah.
All right, and yeah.
So they got Canyon Randall this week. Canyon Randall is another one of those Amarillo teams that's really taken strides. I watched them play Lubbock Estacado earlier this year, another two-round deep team. Just, you know, beat the tar out of them too. But they're running up against the gauntlet that is Stephenville. I think this is where Canyon Randall's road ends.
Dude, I have seen the I guess the concept art for Stephenville's new stadium they're building. Pretty sweet. We got to make out some Stephenville game next year. Let's go ahead and hear from Angelo Bolt, Chadwick.
All right. Since 1994, Angelo Bolt and Industrial Supply has served the Concho Valley for 30 years and counting. Angelo Bolt is the go-to place for fasteners, power tools, air compressors, safety equipment, and everything in between. Chances are Angelo Bolt will always have what you need when you need it, and in that odd chance they don't have exactly what you're looking for, they'll find it fast. No request is too big or too small for Angelo Bolt. Located at 808 Warehouse Road, where customer service is their top priority. Thank you, Angelo Bolt, for bringing us all our playoff coverage throughout the Concho Valley and beyond.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about some 3A Division I, Shallow Water Peaster. That was here in San Angelo. I don't think anybody's surprised Shallow Water won. But
Yeah,
Peaster did get their first playoff win of their program, you know, the week before. But you ran up against Shallow Water, and Shallow Water does what Shallow Water does.
Yeah, when I was talking to Ernesto, he came to the studio a little while ago, and he said Peaster had a shot. He's like, there was a couple 4th down conversions they just didn't convert, and that ended up being the difference in the game. Now, I'm not saying that would have given Peaster the ability to take down, you know, the juggernaut that is Shallow Water this year, but the game would have been closer.
Yeah, no, I was looking through the clips you sent me saying 4th down conversion. I'm like, what is going on? Because that's all I was getting was that clip, and I was like, all right. What about Vernon and River Road?
I think that these are just more matchups that they're going to be meat to the grinder for Shallow Water. Vernon's a good football program, and they match up with Shallow Water this week, but I don't think that they're going to be enough to take the Mustangs down.
And then you got Jim Ned and Dalhart. Jim Ned 35, Dalhart 7. Jim Ned putting together pretty good little run here.
Like, and this is the same team that lost to Lubbock Estacado in week 1 of the season, you know, and like they just continue to prove that no matter who their head coach is, like they're just going to continue to roll, right? So they're back in the 3rd round of the playoffs. You know, you have experience covering Jim Ned too, Paul. Like, how do the Indians keep doing this?
You know, they're kind of like the Wall of Abilene.
I was just about to say they're the Wall of Abilene.
And look, you know, being in Ballinger, we're right in the middle of Jim Ned and Wall. And so both awesome programs. They've been great rivals for a long time. You saw what Jim Ned's capable of. They nearly beat Wall this year. Took Wall last second touchdown and a 2-point conversion. But just great athletes out there, great culture. It's not just football. It's all sports. That's another reason they remind me of Wall. Just whatever the sport you see Jim Ned, you're like, oh great, this is gonna be a tough opponent.
So you being from Ballinger, do you hate Jim Ned as much as you hate Wall?
Hate is a strong word.
He's still got to cover Wall this season, man. Calm down.
What, dude?
Yeah, you know
Say
what?
repeat. Come on, Slaughter loves us. Say what you gotta say.
I love Wall. My mom went to Wall. You know, my family's from Wall, so I'm a big Wall fan. I like those kids and coaches a lot out there. Ballinger's not in a district with either one of them now, so it's a lot easier to let bygones be bygones, and I'll root for them as long as they're not in our way.
Yeah, I like the way you made up your family high school there. So, we have Shallow Water Burn at 7 p.m. Friday. Abilene Wiley.
Yep.
And
Abilene
then,
Wiley.
At Abilene, yes. And then Jim Ned in Paradise at Springtown's Porcupine Stadium at 7 p.m. on Friday. Paradise beat Bushland, and Bushland's always had a pretty good program too.
Ooh, that's why I included them. Like, I thought Bushland was going to be one of those teams that we saw in the regional final at least, but I mean, that's football. Paradise found a way to get it done. So, congratulations to them.
All right, now let's move into some 3A2 matchups. Canadian beat Coahoma 63-35. Idalou beat Stanton 52-14. Littlefield beat Crane 59-0, and Wall beat Childress 49-14. Let's talk about these games real quick. You were at Wall Childress. Chadwick, talk about it.
So I just want to mention, out of all those scores, Wall had the lowest margin of victory, but I also think that's because Childress was the best team out of the losers in that bunch. I think that Stanton versus Idalou, I think Stanton was lucky to be there, and Idalou is just too powerful of a program. Cahoma's kind of on a down year, and they're playing the juggernaut that is Canadian. And of course, Littlefield has been a massive surprise for me this year. With the offense they run, it's like they're trying to get as close to running 100 plays a game as they can on offense. And that sneaky matchup coming up with Wall's got to be careful that they don't go down a score or two in the beginning, because just how fast Littlefield plays. But in the Wall and Childress game, it went exactly how I thought it would. Briggs Jones had a big game. Landon York had a big game. They got their backup some playing time in the second half, and it never really was close. There was a moment in the first half, like towards the end of the second quarter, where Wall's defense had to make a defensive stand near at least on their half of the field, and they got it done. And after that, Wall just kind of broke away with it. But this sets up a pretty interesting matchup between Wall and Littlefield. And with Littlefield being who they are, I so far this season, they have some, like the couple of their losses are a little weird, but I do think that they match up well with Wall. They both run the spread, and they're both going to score a lot of points. Wall's defense is going to be the factor in this one. Wall doesn't let too many people score more than 2 touchdowns on them, and let's see if that holds.
I think they've given up like 12 points a game all season.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at Canadian stats last night, though, and that defense is for real. I think they got like 50 sacks and like 19 interceptions or something.
Yeah,
it's something crazy.
Yeah. With that being said, I think this is the best offensive line Wall's had in the last 5 years.
So, Canadian plays Idalou Friday at Canyon's Happy State Bank Stadium, and Wall plays Littlefield at Sweetwater at 1 p.m.
And we will be at both of those matchups.
Yeah, I'm going to be at
Wall and
Littlefield.
And then I'll be at Canadian Idalou.
All right, so we should have
full highlights.
Yeah, full highlights of
if the matchups go how they think that we're going to go, and I'm going to be a big Idalou fan this week, but it's looking like it's going to be the same matchup it's been for the last 3 years now. So it's like if both teams take care of business, it's going to be Canadian and Wall again in the regional final.
Yeah, Chadwick, you can be an Idalou fan all you want. I'm going to be a realist, and it's going to be Wall and Canadian next year. Yeah, those are the 3A matchups we have. And before we go on, we do have to thank Great American Cookie. Show your hawk pride with a custom cookie cake from Great American Cookies. Celebrate in style with a treat that's as sweet as victory. Find us next to Cinemark in the Sherwood Shopping Center at 4553 Sherwood Way. Great American Cookies, where every occasion is worth celebrating. All right, now we're going to move into some 2A ball, 2A Division 1. Sunray and Hawley. Nick, you're covering Sunray this week. They beat Hawley last week. Talk about Sunray real fast.
Sunray 49-40. They beat Holly. It's a pretty high scoring game, at least according to the box score. Post plays them next week, or I guess this week. And according to with the Sunray matchup with Holly, and then the Post matchup with Anson going in overtime, 42-35. Post beating Anson. I think it'll be another close game. Ryan was out there with me for a little bit too, and it was a pretty even matchup. I'd say the defense on Post kind of let up a little bit compared to what I've seen them do before. But like Coach John Wright said, as long as that ball goes in the hands of Ian Vergara, I think Post can still score really well. It just really kind of comes down to that defense and what they can do on the other side of that ball. This game will be played up here in the Hub City in Lubbock, so I don't really have to travel too far, which is super nice. But I think that, like I said, I think Post can pull it out, but if not, it'll be a really close game.
I mean, all you do is keep Anthony Lujan off the field, right?
Yeah. And
I mean, how hard is that? Just feed Vergara. Yeah, feed Vergara, put up more points, and
well, that's the thing about Sunray though.
Football's not hard.
Even if it's fourth and manageable, they're going for it. So.
But yeah,
good luck.
Football's not hard. Just put up more points and you'll do your thing.
Yeah, force some turnovers.
Yeah, we have
ball in the end zone.
We had Cisco and Abernathy. Cisco beat Abernathy 38-19. Stanford beat Panhandle 49-13. That's a district matchup here again. That's Stanford and Cisco. They're in the same district, and Stanford's probably gonna get the win. But they play at Shotwell at 2 on Friday. Mm-hmm. Right.
So, that's one thing I want to say about Cisco. They've surprised me. I thought they were going to be first-round exits this year. They've dealt with a lot of injuries. They just weren't, in my mind at least, and they proved me wrong. They just weren't as good as they were in years past. And looking at it again, like Abernathy's not a bad football team. They took Post down to the wire in that district championship game. So, like, I don't think that the outcome's going to be different than the first time Cisco and Stanford played each other. But, hey, Cisco keeps surprising people.
I mean, Cisco played Reagan County week one, and everybody thought Reagan County was going to win that one, and Cisco came out and won, and Cisco's got a good program.
And it wasn't close. That's the thing.
Entire district, though, like we talked about at the beginning of the show. Seeding is so important, and it just doesn't matter in 2A1 because you're getting
experience says a lot too. Reagan County hadn't had a playoff game.
That too.
Those playoff experiences definitely shown through with their program. Even in a down year, here they are in the third round.
Right. 2A Division 2, you have Groover beating Ira Ann 49-19, Tahoka beating Hale Center 42-20, Ropes beating Farwell 28-0, and Wink beating Stratford 42-0. Is Wink really as good as?
I mean, they keep proving it over and over again. Stratford's not a bad football team, and they just got thumped.
Looking at that, is Wink got a state run?
With that being said, Ropes is really good. So,
but you haven't seen Wink this year, though. You haven't had a chance to get out to Wink.
Yeah, that is true.
And Wink has always had a pretty good program.
I have seen Ropes play though, and they're for real.
All right. Well, you'll take Ropes. I'll take Wink. And
hey, let's circle back real quick for 2AD1.
Let's not forget Region 4 Concho Valley schools.
You mean the ones you forgot and you had to write in there?
I wrote them in. They're on there.
Region 4 is out there. They're easy to forget. But we got Mason Punchers.
It's Mason. How's it easy to forget, Chadwick?
I've been covering a lot of schools this year, man.
Most of our schools are way out in Region 1, of course, But we got some of our best schools out in Region 4, like Mason. They're 11-1. They haven't lost since the season opening loss to Wall, Defense has been awesome. They won 56-28 last week. It's the first time they'd allowed more than 15, I think, since week 2. So, it's easy to look ahead and be like, hey, it's going to be Mason versus either Refugio or Ganado, Marlin's a good team. They went to the state quarterfinals last year. They were in the state semifinals a couple years before that. So a good program, good experience. Mason, again, like I said, the defense and then the offense. Sutton Solario has over 2,100 rushing yards, 35 touchdowns.
Behind that big old offensive line.
Right. And they've even, their quarterback, who's almost got 1,000 yards rushing as well, Carlton Schmidt, he also thrown for 1,300 yards. So they're not quite as one-dimensional. They can... when they decide to call a pass, they can take it to the house. So
hey, man, balance is whatever works, right?
Yep.
Right. They've often just been run, but they can pass the ball. They've got 2 very capable rushers in Solario. My gosh, he could have 2,500 yards by the season's done. But I think Mason's still a considerable favorite, even as good as Marlin is.
Do we get the feeling that we kind of have Paul's favorability pick for one of our MVP awards for Cover 1?
Man,
I don't know. I think our MVP pick is kind of settled at this point. But offensive MVP...
Certainly, offensive MVP candidate.
I mean, certainly. I mean, how can you not?
Yeah, I know, exactly.
They're going 4 rounds deep. I think they're going to handle Marlin, and they're going to get up against Ganado or Refugio, and that's going to be a good game. Probably, in San Marcos or New Braunfels somewhere?
Something like
We're looking at that, somewhere around there.
Sutton Solario just reminds me of a certain Sonora running back last year. So,
there you go.
Let's talk about Junction and Somerville. What do we know about this one, Paul? What do you know? I mean, Junction's kind of slowly just
built momentum.
Been the team this year down there in Region 4. I mean,
yeah, they've been awesome, and they're the newcomer here. We got the teams we expect: the Walls, the Masons, the Richmond Springs. Junction's this newcomer. We knew they'd have a good year though. They had a lot of guys coming back.
Yeah, they had 11 return on both sides of the ball.
Right. So, but they still had to get it done. No playoff experience really, and here they are. And so, what's kind of interesting is the team they're playing. What's that team's name again? Somerville. Okay, so both teams are 11-1. Both teams had losing records 2 years ago. Neither team, so they're not running into some. Of course, they dispatched Fall City last week. We had tons of playoff experience. But Somerville is just like Junction. Neither one of these teams has been in this position in a long time. I believe this is Somerville's winningest season ever, and then Junction best season in like 15 years. So one of these teams is going to be in the regional final, which is pretty awesome. Again, I don't know Region 4 that well, so I'm looking, at Somerville's schedule. I don't know these teams, that well. A lot kind of foreign teams to me, way out there in that part of Texas. But,
well, I mean, Junction's already an hour and a half away, and now they're playing teams that are
east of I-35.
East of I-35, so they're probably 3 hours away from us, or even from Junction. You have to go that far to even see these teams.
Shoot, some of those guys are on our schedule when near Houston. So
I mean, but Paul, I feel like we kind of had to get you. You said you liked the Junction radio. You said you liked the Junction radio guys.
They were fun.
They're just two dudes, right?
Just two guys. Like I'm hanging out with them on the couch, drinking a beer, watching the game or something. Right. It's a lot of fun. They almost blew out the speakers a couple times because they got so excited. But I kind of there's something I almost enjoy about that as opposed to two polished announcers. Just two guys watching football.
Man. It's very authentic.
They just pull two guys out of the stands. Hey, come up here. Two dads out of the stands. Come call this game for us.
That's kind of what it seemed like, basically. But it was pretty awesome. I'm looking forward to those guys again.
Who's the tight end they got down there that's special?
Bierschwal. I believe it's Brock Bierschwal. Big guy, huge target. I think he had 3 touchdown catches last week. And, I think they'll use him as a blocker a lot of the time. And then when he goes out for a pass, I mean, he's a tough matchup. Definitely an X factor for them. So they had a big win last week. I was not expecting them to pull away like they did.
All right. We're going to move on real fast before we do. We do have to thank Texas Bank. For any banking need, go to Texas Bank. Proven local and strong style customers refer to Texas Bank, one of the most successful banks in the Lone Star State. Texas Bank is a full-service bank with over $2 billion in assets, and they operate in 16 locations from El Paso to Dallas-Fort Worth, including 3 right here in San Angelo, located 2201 Sherwood Way, 1850 North Chadburn, and 4206 College Hills. Texas Bank staff are your friends, family, and neighbors. All right, let's talk about some 1A ball. Whiteface in Borden County, what do we know about it?
I just know that Whiteface is one of the top 10 teams in the state, and they continue to just turn out wins. I more have them all lined up just so we can see if Water Valley gets past Westbrook, who they're going to be playing. But I know Whiteface has been playing good football all year, and I don't expect that to change. Borden County, on the other hand. I don't know, man. It's going to be a tough matchup. We're at that part of the year in 1A football where every single team is good. So, it's one of those where, okay, how are we going to compare these? The guys who are higher ranked, are these the better teams? Where are we going to see upsets, whatnot? But, yeah, it should be just good football.
And then we got Westbrook and Water Valley. We saw Westbrook earlier this year. Lucas didn't know what he's getting himself into because you kind of lied to him, Paul.
Maybe I underestimated Robert Lee. Westbrook just had such an awesome program. 3 straight trips to the state final. I just didn't think Robert Lee could hang with them, but they certainly could. 116 to 110.
Highest scoring UIL 1A.
Right between 2 public UIL schools, ever. 6th highest scoring game ever. But, it's going to be tough for Water Valley
Lucas
this week,
had no idea what was going on.
That's just one of the great offensive shootouts ever.
I should have sent him to Wall. I would have loved to have been there. That would have been awesome. I would have thought that was great.
Yeah, that was the Wall Anthony week for you.
That was Wall Anthony week. And we all know how that turned out.
Yeah, it wasn't quite the same shootout, more of a one-sided shootout. But yeah, you know.
Oh, more of a one-sided.
Water Valley's got the
had
firepower.
5 completions for 5 touchdowns, and then he had 1 rush for a touchdown. I'm sorry, I got off topic.
No. Clear mismatch. This should be a good game. You know, Westbrook, like I said, all the playoff experience. They scored almost 100 again last week, so Water Valley is going to have to find a way to slow them down. Same for Westbrook, though. They're going to have to find a way to slow Water Valley down. They've balanced offense with Anthony Quintana, Landon Lacey, Gunnar Brooks, Boston Weiss. You can't. It's not
just
to
one
Robert
guy.
Lee and Brenner Sherwood, an incredible player, but you can't just focus on one guy for Water Valley. You got to defend the whole field. And I think it's going to be a really interesting matchup. Again, Water Valley, their first year back in 6-man. Yes, they have experience before, but still, Westbrook has been there, done that over and over. It'll be interesting to see if that'll play a factor at all. I think this is going to be a great game. I really think it's going to go down to the wire.
I think, as you talk to head coach out there, I think one of the bigger factors for Water Valley is Trey Sisco on their staff, who took Sterling City to state a few years ago.
Right.
And had them competing.
What a ridiculous luxury that is to have Trey Sisco as an assistant coach. I mean, you can't ask for a better defensive coordinator.
Right. I mean, he's seen it all.
Yeah, so if anybody could slow down Westbrook or could figure a way, not to stop him, but to slow him down, I think it's Trey Sisco.
And for those at home that don't remember, Trey Sisco was Sterling City's head coach when Sterling City won the state championship.
Yeah, Chadwick
just 4 years ago. Just 4 years ago.
I just mentioned that, but whatever.
I know.
No, you're asking for it, Chadwick. Follett and Klondike, 6 p.m. Friday at Tula. What do you know about that? Chadwick, what do you know about that one?
I don't
know
over
much.
here.
I don't know much
sorry,
about
You're on
Yeah.
the wrong page.
Again, this is just is one of those matchups that I have them all listed out. I don't really know much about these schools at all. You know me, I'm the guy who usually covers the big schools, but we're at that part of the season where good teams play. As I said earlier, I know more about the Jayton-Benjamin matchup. I was at the Jayton-Blackwell game last week, and Jayton just seems like a team where it's not just one guy. The quarterback's talented. He had 3 receivers that were always open during the field or down the field. Blackwell tried their hardest, and I got to give credit to them. They got first downs. They got close to the end zone. But, Jayton's defense is what it is. They're the clear number 1 in the state in D2 right now. And, even against a team as storied as Benjamin, I don't think Benjamin has quite the star power to beat him this year. And, between Follett and Klondike, I don't think it's going to matter. I think this is just Jayton's road to the state championship.
I do want to say, though, for Benjamin to lose Rigdon and Hayes brothers to be
It's
where
big.
they're at, I mean, and they also did, I know they bring all that experience from the 2 state runs. It does say something about, Benjamin's ability. And then, Chadwick, how did you have to ride in Richmond Springs and Oglesby? This is the last time, I promise.
Because it's Region 4. We had some Region 4 misses.
There's a lot of games this week, James.
I was at the Richmond Springs game last week. They played Zephyr and, played Zephyr's. They destroyed Zephyr. I mean, Etheridge went off. The I can't remember his last name. Billy
Perry.
Billy Perry.
Yeah.
And he lost his dad at the beginning of the season, so he's playing with a fire underneath him. He lit it up. Etheridge lit it up. It was just total domination. And I talked to Coach Rogers after the game. He's like, we kind of had a couple weeks where we couldn't get anybody. They had a couple forfeits, and it was just good to get out there and play some football. And he said he's kind of worried about maybe coming off that extended period of time, gonna have a problem with some just motivation a little bit. Maybe something was going to be an issue. It was not. It was not an issue. They're fast. They're ferocious. They're violent. This is Richmond Springs playing their best football right now. And Oglesby, of course, they were at state last year. They are a very good team, too. This is going to be a great matchup between 2 of the 6-man powerhouses as far as the small 6-man goes.
Right. Richmond Springs is number 2. And Oglesby number 3. They've got their stud back,
Kyler Fawcett.
Yeah, he's got over 1,900 yards. So I don't know if they're quite what they were last year, but they're still a good team. I think they haven't lost since they had 2 really tough opponents to start with. They've run off 10 in a row. Should be a great game. It was a great game last year. They beat Richmond Springs off 14 in the state semis. Now they're meeting again in state quarters. Should be another game, a great game. I feel like all roads are Richmond Springs and Jayton. That's what it feels like with the way those 2 teams are playing.
I I'd agree, but I do think Oglesby could be, could be that. You could have to go through. I mean, you're probably going through the same road anyway.
Yeah, no, they could beat
Richmond
Richmond Springs. They're a great team. There's no doubt. It should be a really good game. Richmond Springs hadn't seen a test like this all year for sure.
All right.
$59,999 for a new Ford Expedition XLT. Get a full-size 3-row seating SUV for the family that needs a lot of room. Equipped with a moonroof, second-row captain seats, along with many more features, make it the absolute perfect SUV. You can only get deals like this at Jim Bass Ford, Houston Hart and Arden Road, or shop 24/7 at bassbunch.com, or use this QR code. Yep, the one on my shirt.
Let's talk about some college football, Chadwick. West Virginia and Texas Tech. You ready?
Yeah, so that game's at 11 a.m. on Saturday. It's going to be the final home game for the Red Raiders this season. Texas Tech has a chance to win 8 games for the first time since 2008. I think that Texas Tech, they should be favored in this game. West Virginia hasn't had a horrible season, but they just aren't quite there yet. With that being said, Tech went to Morgantown last year and got their butts handed to them 20-13, and a huge upset for West Virginia, who was picked near the bottom of the Big 12 last year. This season, Tech has lost some games that they definitely should have won, namely in TCU, and even in that Colorado game, they just completely let that game get away from them. But they still have Taj Brooks. He came through again last week. He was absolutely pivotal in the second half in that win against Oklahoma State. He converted a 4th and 1 for a 41-yard touchdown that pretty much, if they don't get that there, that just dooms the entire season. Now everything's a failure. Instead, he scores off a really good play call, and he ends up having 3 touchdowns in the second half, and the Red Raiders go on to win that game. This week in West Virginia, it's going to have to be the Taj Brooks show. The better he does, the better Morton does. And when Baron Morton has time, that's when his receivers get open. So set up some play action early. Try to get Taj going. But to be honest though, I don't want to see him running the ball more than 30 times. That's definitely one of those that the Red Raiders don't need to get him hurt right before bowl season. But at this point they're not completely eliminated from the Big 12 contention yet, but there is a scenario where they get into the title game, but so many teams got to lose. At this point, I just want Tech to put themselves in the best position where they can say that they have improved this year and they get a good bowl.
All right. And with that, we're going to hear from the ArcLight Bar and Grill. Looking for the best buffalo wings in San Angelo? Head over to the ArcLight Bar and Grill, conveniently located inside the Clarion Hotel at 441 Rio Concho Drive. Their variety of wing flavors is second to none, featuring options like raspberry chipotle, ghost pepper, Nashville hot, sweet heat honey, teriyaki lime, everything rub, and the classic hot wing. Relax and let the ArcLight toss your wings to perfection while you enjoy the largest video wall in West Texas, surrounded by 20 other flat-screen TVs. Pair your meal with one of their daily drink specials for the ultimate dining experience. Visit the ArcLight Bar and Grill inside the Clarion Hotel at 441 Rio Concho Drive in downtown San Angelo. All right, Nick, final thoughts real fast. Tell me.
Final thoughts. I mean, it's a great season. I feel like most of my final thoughts are just how the seasons went, but it's been a great season. I went to that Tech road game. That was awesome too. Watching Texas Tech, just being here, reporting over everything. I think it's been awesome. Started watching Friendship a lot more too. That's something I've been excited about, even for next year. But really, we've been following Monterey. I've personally been following Monterey a lot with Luke Arrington. I've even known him a little bit personally since he was a kid. One of my previous jobs. So just this year has been really, really good, really fun. I've really enjoyed it, and I can't wait for next year.
Hey, man, it's not over yet. You have a trip to Jerry World later on this year.
That is true. I went there a couple, I want to say maybe last year for a concert, and it's that place is so huge. I just can't wait to be on the field and film.
All right. Thank you, Nick. And Chadwick, Paul, final thoughts.
I guess I would just talk about Angelo State real quick. I thought we'd still be talking about them because they'd still be playing. Disappointing end of the season last week with the first round playoff loss at home to Bemidji State, but it was still an awesome season. They started off 0-2 to reel off 9 in a row, undefeated Lone Star Conference title run. They got some things to look forward to with Braden Fuller at quarterback. What a season he had coming back. So, it was unfortunate. I really thought they had a couple playoff wins in them, but anything can happen in the playoffs. They ran into a team that was pretty similar, great defense, and that's just the way it went that day. But great season for the Rams.
Chadwick?
Me, I got a couple of bigger school playoff matchups that I think that are just going to be interesting. First off, Amarillo-Tascosa made it to the third round of the playoffs this year. Unfortunately for them, they're going to be playing Aledo, and Aledo just took it to Abilene High last week. I think Aledo's on their way to another state championship. Talk about one of the most successful programs in Texas history. But, of course, we got a South Lake Carroll Allen matchup coming up, too. That one's going to be a good one. Duncanville's still just running through everybody. DeSoto's still in it. Like, I think Duncanville's got the Woodlands this week. And the Woodlands aren't a bad school, but, like, Duncanville's still Duncanville, and they're probably going to be hoisting that trophy in the 6A again this year. But, yeah, we're at that point in the season where all the powerhouse football teams are about to clash. In the next 2 weeks, we're going to have some really good football before state.
All right. I want to bring up Ganado and Refugio down there at Port Lavaca. I think that's going to be one of the games to be at, who have two great programs going at it. I also want to talk about our private school matchup we have with Liberty Argyle. They're playing St. Thomas. I think they're like 7-5. And I was looking at some of stats from Argyle Liberty, just putting up monster numbers. And I was looking at where they're going, as far as D1 athletes across the field. And I really think that state game in a couple weeks is going to be a rematch between Liberty Christian and Parish Episcopal. They played in the regular season. That was preseason 1 and 2. It was actually Liberty Christian's homecoming, I believe. So when you're scheduled the number 2 for your homecoming, you got a lot of belief in your team. I think that's going to be a great one. I hope I can make it out there for that one. But this has been Cover 1, Week 3 of the playoffs. Got anything else you want to say, guys?
Nah, man, it's a great season. We're almost done, but let's keep it rolling.
Absolutely. Well, for Paul Harris, Ryan Chadwick, Nick Thompson, I'm